Hello and welcome, adventurers. I'm Mary, and in this video, I'll be going over the Easter eggs and references you may have missed in patch 6.4, The Dark Throne. This video contains spoilers for the main story quests and for Final Fantasy IV. There's a 0 chance I'd miss a good intro pun, so I hope you enjoy, and let's get into it. The story resumes in Radzat Han with Zero and Varshan. Zero has been expanding her culinary horizons with spicy curry, and our Warrior of Light gets to help out by picking the flavor profile. The spices we can choose from are based on real-world spices that can be found in South Asian curry recipes. Merid asks if you like to partake in Zero's special curry, and while your answer here doesn't change the cutscene, choosing a milder curry does change the roleplay buff you receive afterwards. Eating the full power curry gives you the buff Spicy Circulation 22, while the less gastronomically challenging option gives you Spicy Circulation 1. We interrupt Estinian's rigorous training regime to deliver him some dinner, and Yashola and Urianger arrive with a plan on how to get to the 13th moon. The idea is to use the Tower of Babel to deliver a vast amount of aether to the moon to fuel the Voidgate. The Tower of Babel in Final Fantasy IV was also linked to the moon by delivering the Giant of Babel from the Red Moon to the planet. Urianger suggests we might be able to harvest the requisite aether from the Isle of Ham, an island located to the north of Old Sharlayan, close to where the Isle of Val used to be. Once at the Baldesion Annex, Kryl and Erenville both give some cryptic hints about locales we may see in the next expansion. Erenville mentions a homecoming. Now, this is pure speculation, but this could mean the tradition of male Viera returning to their birth village every 3 to 5 years to mate, hinting at a Southern Othar destination for 7.0. Kryl has a do not open until expansion reveal missive. Let me know in the comments where or who you think this might be from. Our party journeys to Labyrinthos, where the scientist's quality of life has vastly improved without the deadline of the end of the world. We meet up with Kokal Dankal, who's actually a reference I missed in my original Final Fantasy IV references and Endwalker video. In 6.0, we meet Kokal during the level 88 main scenario quest, Going Underground, where he tasks the Scions to gather refined adamantite to improve the Aether Burner. In Final Fantasy IV, he's a dwarven blacksmith who reforges the Mythgraven blade into Excalibur as thanks for gifting him adamantite ore. Fortuno and his unrivaled hygiene come to deliver the forum's approval for the Warrior of Light and party to journey to the Isle of Ham, as long as we clear out the monsters on our way. I believe this is a soft reference to meeting Tella in Final Fantasy IV. Tella is unable to get past the Octomammoth in the underground waterway, and recruits Cecil's help. Also, Tella and Fortuno are both sages. The Aetherfont's theme is called Star's Breath, and is a remix of Flow, similar to both the day and night themes of Old Sharlayan. On the way to the first boss, we encounter a new to Final Fantasy XIV monster, the Frost Beast. The Frost Beast, or Ice Beast, is from Final Fantasy IV and was originally seen as a random encounter in the Tower of Zot. They even use their signature Ice Storm ability. The first boss is Lingbacher. Lingbacher is a legendary creature of Icelandic origin, a massive whale who would trick sailors by disguising itself as an island. Once the crew had disembarked, Lingbacher would dive back under the waves, drowning those on its back. If you have Urianger with you as a trust, he mentions that Lingbacher is a dread beast of the seas. There's also a Lingbacher in Final Fantasy XI. It's a sea monk type enemy found in the sea gates. The next set of monsters are reskinned Apkallu named Ox. There's an area in the residential section of Old Sharlayan called Ox Landing. The second boss is a crystal-encrusted polar bear named Arcus. In Greek mythology, Arcus is the son of Zeus and Callisto. Callisto was turned into a bear by a jealous Hera, and to prevent Arcus from accidentally murdering his mother, Zeus turned Arcus into a bear as well and set them into the stars as the constellations Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. The final boss is a giant octopus named Octomammoth. Octomammoth is a boss from Final Fantasy IV found in the underground waterway. The Final Fantasy IV Ultimania mentions that Octomammoth was a normal octopus that mutated due to the presence of sewage waste in the water, while it's inferred that the Final Fantasy XIV iteration mutated from the vast amounts of aether at the Aetherfont. The pre-battle cinematic shows the tentacles emerging from the water in pairs, reminiscent of how pairs of tentacles surround Cecil when Octomammoth challenges the party in the Super Nintendo version. The Endwalker boss theme is switched out for Battle 2, which is the same music that plays in its Final Fantasy IV fight. The crystal ramp we slide down to the battle arena is similar to Cecil sliding down the waterfall to eventually face the Octomammoth. When defeated, Octomammoth's tentacles sink one by one until his head finally submerges as well. In its Final Fantasy IV iteration, its tentacles disappear one by one as you do damage. After securing the use of the Tower of Babel, Zero has a flashback scene about the Contra Memoria. The in-game setting for this scene is the northeast path past the Chisel in Kalusha. There's a fun little oops moment in this scene if you look at the top. It looks like the person creating this scene forgot to hide the developer UI. This most likely will be patched out at some point, so I recommend grabbing your screenshots of this now for posterity. She tells us about how a swordsman and a mage offered to team up with her. We get a better shot later on in the story, but this man bears a strong resemblance to Golbez as he's portrayed in Final Fantasy IV The After Years. He's also using the sword we've seen Golbez use in flashbacks and in the key art for the patch. We can also see Golbez in this shot. This will make more sense later on. Zero mentions that the pair call themselves Knights of Baron. Baron is the starting location in Final Fantasy IV and is the home of Cecil, Rosa, and Kain. Cecil starts the game as the leader of the Red Wings, but is removed from his station after he questions the king's actions. He's replaced by Golbez, who uses the Red Wings to attack kingdoms for their crystals. After the flashback, Zero and Euless have a bro moment, and Zero realizes that a friend is someone you trust. This fulfills the first question she ever asks us in Troya Castle. What is a friend? We meet Y'shtola and Nadana on the moon and go to check in on the Loporrits part of the plan. If you've done their tribal quests, there's some extra flavor text where Living Way talks about the Loporrits pursuing their dreams. There's also some bonus flavor text with the Watcher if you talk to him before opening the Voidgate, He says that his part in restoring the brands was small, and he intends to stand back once the gate is open, since Vana entrusted the future to us. With everything in place, it's time to open our Voidgate. Our Warrior of Light activates the brands, and the containment spell spins into place over our new gate. If you look closely, you can see that the binding circle we create for the Voidgate is an incomplete version of the ones that once surrounded Zodiark. Vritra gives us a ride through the Voidgate, and we arrive on the 13th moon. The zone is called the Red Moon, a reference to both its color and the name of the moon in Final Fantasy IV. The theme that plays is called Another Moon, and is a rendition of the theme that plays on the Red Moon in Final Fantasy IV. We find a blue Memoriate crystal and have an echo flashback to the scene Zero described earlier, but from Golbez's point of view. This part takes place in Amity in Kalusha. Plus, you can zoom and enhance here and see part of Tomra. Interesting that it's visible, since Tomra is a village in Final Fantasy IV. The man resembling Golbez from Final Fantasy IV The After Years is named Durante. It's interesting to note that in Japanese, this man isn't given a name. He's basically called Man Who Seems to Be Your Partner. He speaks with the same voice as the Golbez we know.
I can't bring myself to pray for the unrepentant. You're a nobler man than I.
You are welcome, seekers of might.
I have a big theory on this whole scene and what this means, so be sure to subscribe if you haven't. You won't want to miss my upcoming speculation video. Golbez appears and breaks the binding spell on Asdaya, allowing the darkness to overwhelm her and turn her into the Shadow Dragon. The Shadow Dragon is Golbez's minion in Final Fantasy IV that he summons to gain the upper hand against Cecil and party. Final Fantasy XIV Shadow Dragon retains Asdaya's face and horns, while the rest of its body resembles the Shadow Dragon we know from Final Fantasy IV, specifically the sprite used in the PSP version, as it's the only other version where the Shadow Dragon has 4 legs instead of 2. Time to finally face Golbez. The name of the theme that plays during this fight is called Voidcast Savior, and is a mix of Battle with the Four Fiends and the main theme of Final Fantasy IV. Battle with the Four Fiends plays while fighting Golbez in Final Fantasy IV once Rydia rejoins the party. And no epic Final Fantasy showdown would be complete without a crystal theme leitmotif. His title is Knight in Black, which was his name when he was first introduced in Final Fantasy XIV, and is similar to his introduction in Final Fantasy IV The After Years as Man in Black. The pose he makes before the battle unlocks is the same as his pre-battle pose from Dissidia Final Fantasy. The attacks Arctic Assault, Gale Sphere, Lingering Spark, and Terra Storm are also from Dissidia. In his second phase, the Shadow Dragon takes a more active role in the fight and adds additional mechanics to the ones we've seen. Like how summoning the Shadow Dragon in Dissidia buffs Golbez's moves. All his meteor attacks are in pairs, an homage to his dual meteor attack with Fusoya at the end of Final Fantasy IV. Golbez uses Binding Cold, then summons his Shadow Dragon for an attack called Black Fang. This is exactly how his fight progresses in Final Fantasy IV. While Black Fang is a multi-hit raid-wide in the normal fight, a second cast is the hard enrage for the EX version, harkening back to Black Fang being an instant kill move in Final Fantasy IV. The voiced lines during this combo echo his dialogue during the Final Fantasy IV battle.
Such is your power. You shall know true terror. Come forth, my servant of shadow.
After the fight, Golbez gloats that the real threat was in the chasm all along. The aether that once made up the Shard of Zodiark had coalesced into a powerful void scent. Golbez throws Azdalia into the pit and dubs the emerging void scent Zeromus. Zeromus is the final boss in Final Fantasy IV, the embodiment of Zemus's hatred. Final Fantasy XIV Zeromus resembles his first form. Zero attempts to seal Zeromus in Memoria, but is unable to land a blow. Similar to how Golbez and Fusoya were unable to harm Zeromus while he was in his intangible first form. Zero also drops the blue Memoria crystal, which is sure to play a role in 6.5. The Warrior of Light and party escape back to the Source to regroup. Y'shtola mentions that the only way to fight impenetrable darkness is to wield resplendent light, a callback to Cecil using the crystal to reveal Zeromus' true form. The crystal only worked for Cecil and not Golbez, since Golbez is a darkness user and Cecil uses light. We then get a scene of Golbez back on the 13th moon, and he confirms that the original Golbez died, and the Golbez we know is Durante, using Golbez's identity and armor. It seems like he did this to honor the original Golbez's memory, so his friend could be the hero that saves the 13th. Again, I have some theories as to why he did this that I'll go over in my speculation video. Let me know in the comments what your favorite moment of 6.4 was, or if there is anything I missed. If you're new to the channel, I do Easter eggs and reference videos for each major story patch, as well as a series retroactively covering references to individual Final Fantasies. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like to help out. Thanks for watching, and until next time, adventurers, remember, you matter, and may you ever walk in the light.